Hi, I'm Aaron. I'm 18 and this is my first car. It's a 1997 Mitsubishi Eclipse GSX and it is a ton of fun. I couldn't get something too expensive. I also liked the Celicas of the similar year, the 90s Celicas and the turbo ones there, but I never found a good one, and this one came up cheap. It was a manual, it was everything I wanted, so I went for it. It was a friend of mine who I was telling you about. He has a whole bunch of Hondas really, mostly, and I helped him work on them and we just goofed around in them. And yeah, that's kind of what started my car journey or whatever. Yeah, and then it was like Instagram and stuff like that, just seeing other cool Japanese cars on the road. Yeah, my friends at school think it's pretty cool. I've let them drive it and they all say it's great and it's way more fun than their like commuter cars that they have to drive and stuff. So they definitely appreciate it, which is nice, so that's cool.
All right, you guys, welcome back to the show. This is a day that I've been waiting for years. We're driving a 1997 Mitsubishi Eclipse GSX today, okay? This isn't no GST. This is a proper, oh, did I go the wrong way? This is the dirt section. We are actually approaching where the cement ends and it turns into dirt. Unfortunately, this is a great moment because this is not an Evo, and today we're gonna go over a couple of the differences between this and an Evo and explain to you why all 4G63 powered Mitsubishi vehicles from this era are definitely not equal. Quintessential 90s DSM, which is so great. You know, the Fast and the Furious obviously popularized the second gen Eclipse here to an insane extent, but it hasn't really got to that cult level status that those other cars like the Skyline and the Supra have gotten to. But regardless, this is a very close to stock example. This is Aaron's first car and his daily. Let me tell you, I had my first car was like an 05 manual 5-speed Ford Ranger. That was very short-lived. It ended up getting totaled, not my fault. And then I had a B2200 with like 90 horsepower, and that was my first 2 years of solid driving. But Aaron, you do not realize how lucky you are, how times have changed. You're driving an Eclipse GSX as your first car. You're jaded, man. Pretty soon you'll almost be as jaded as I am now. But luckily I still find, you know, a lot of passion in driving these cars. And I just noticed there is a fourth gen, Eclipse ahead of us. Now, Aaron was telling me earlier, and he was like, hey, when I was looking at Eclipse, I really liked them. I was looking at the second and third gen, and I kind of had to pause. I'm like, you were looking at a third gen Eclipse? Big mistake. Don't do that. You made the right call here.
Me and my friend on the highway, he's got a motorcycle, so we'll play around on the highway, going places and stuff. And I raced my dad in his van, which was kind of fun, with all my siblings in the van, so that was fun. But other than that, nothing crazy yet. I would like to get it up to around 300 wheel horsepower, just for daily driving. I think that's a good number. It'll be enough to have fun with, but I won't hurt myself too bad. Other than that, paint was the biggest thing that was on my list, and I just finished that, so not really any big plans for it right now, but we'll see. So yeah, when I bought this car, it was 4 different colors. It was white, red, 2 shades of gray, and it was dented and stuff. So what we did was last summer, me and my friend, we built a paint booth at his house. And then in the winter, we brought the car in. We started sanding it, which, oh, that takes forever. That was the worst job. After sanding stuff, we primed a bunch of things, where there was Bondo and stuff. And yeah, then what we did was we painted in 2 stages. We did the body of the car in 1 stage, and then we did the fenders, bumpers, mirrors, spoiler, everything else we did in the next stage, and then put it all together.
So 7,000 RPM, 4G63 under the hood. Pretty stock here, although this one does actually have a turbo from an Evo 3 under the hood. So of course, in the same time period, that is when the Evo 3, 4, and 5s were out. Now, it's interesting because the 4G63, if you guys don't know, is very different here in the Eclipse versus the Evo, okay? The Evo has forged internals. It is actually flipped 180 degrees to this engine, but I know the differentials are quite different, and the limited slip in this car, that guy on the bike had appreciation for the GSX. The limited slip in this car was actually an option. You can't just swap in an Evo diff into these cars and kind of, like, the parts matching, like we see in other areas of the Japanese world, like the S chassis to R chassis suspension components, for instance, there just isn't the same thing here. Did that contribute a little bit to the downfall of the golden era of Mitsubishi? I mean, Mitsubishi does not make vehicles anymore. I mean, I'm pretty sure they don't. They killed the Evo, they killed the Eclipse. Lovely little turbo sounds. And this is kind of what the GSX is. The Evo is like such an engineering marvel, and there are big differences here. The steering in the GSX just is not nearly as precise. How sick do these cars look though? I mean, and Aaron and I were talking about this. Apparently some people have attempted, and keyword here is attempted, to put a 4th gen, like a Mark IV Super rear bumper on this car, which at first I was like, you're talking to crazy people. And then I looked at the rear end, I'm like, no, this is a bubble butt car. This is a huge ass end of a car, and a lot of people don't like it. Here in the Eclipse, it's even more comical than it is in the Mark IV Supra. The Mark IV Supra is a great looking car, but if there is any gripe about the exterior styling of that car, it's the rear end and how the bumper's a little bit disproportionate to the rest of the car. Now the Eclipse takes it to a whole other level. This is 90s comical styling to the max, and now I think it's aged quite well. Not because it broke any ground as far as there's a loose bolt in the back fender. That's what that noise is. It's not that it broke any design grounds really when it came out, but it's that now we can look at it in kind of an ironic Fast and Furious 90s kind of way and be like, oh, this is a car that deserves underglow. This is a car that deserves that big, weird looking rounded wing on it. It has so many curves. I'm not gonna tell you what Aaron paid for this, but I know people who spent more on tires and wheels this week than Aaron paid for an Eclipse GSX that is running and driving and doing everything that a 90s turbo car should do. Now, Aaron's example here is sitting on teen coilovers, pretty planted. It's at a great ride height where we can still rip it here. It rides pretty good. It's still fairly comfortable. Not that is what you buy a GSX for or an Eclipse for. It's not to be taken as seriously as an Evo. They're not, you don't necessarily see all the time.
Yeah, no, so yeah, when I got it, the Evo 3 turbo was already on it. It's the 16G turbo off of that car. And yeah, I actually had to put a new boost controller on it because it had an electronic one that had wires into the center console connected to nothing. so I got a manual boost controller and put that on. And now we're running about 15 pounds of boost on that turbo, and it works great. Super reliable, no problems with it. So, yeah.
How many times do you expect it to blow up?
I'm guessing probably once, unless I get rid of it, but I'll probably keep it for a while. So when I went to go look at it, it looked quite different. It didn't have a front bumper. It didn't have a carbon fiber hood. It had the ugly stock Eagle Talon wheels, like the all spinny and everything. I knew that I was gonna have to put a lot of work into it to make it look somewhat nice. I got wheels for it. That bumper I got off, he had a parts car, so I got that bumper off of it, and I had to repair a couple cracks in it. And I needed side skirts, which were difficult to find. I guess, yeah, with mechanically, it was pretty good. I did the timing belt just because it was a good time to, and those parts came with the car. So I did timing belt and water pump and all the pulleys and everything. I haven't come in contact with anyone who has a GSX. I've seen a couple that I think were GSXs, or it was the Eagle Talon, and I think it was the TSI, just because of the spoiler. It's pretty noticeable. But it was just on someone's driveway, so I wasn't able to talk to him. But I've only been driving it for about 2 or 3 weeks now since paint. I've had people waving at me while I'm driving and stuff, which is always nice, but no one's really come up and asked me about it quite yet.
You know what you have.
Yes, yeah, I'm proud of it, so that's all that really matters. Yeah, I was really happy it was all-wheel drive for snow and stuff in the winter, and yeah, my friends, they're glad it's all-wheel drive. They think that's cool. One of my friends from school is maybe be getting a drift car rear-wheel drive, something like a 350Z or a Genesis Coupe or something like that. So that would be cool to have to play around in the winter. Yeah. I think so too, yeah. There's a lot less of these than a Genesis. You see those pretty often, so yeah.
Rest in peace, Mitsubishi Eclipse. Rest in peace, Mitsubishi. Rest in peace, the Evo. Okay? I'm sure Aaron will have this car for a long time to come. So thank you so much, Aaron, first off, for letting me drive your car. I really appreciate it. I know first cars are like, I mean, I hope I didn't break anything today. I think we may have warped the brakes. I'm not sure. But seriously, thanks guys for watching. Hit me up on Instagram if you haven't already, at Roads Untraveled. You can kind of see what we're shooting on a day-to-day basis. Subscribe, hit that notification bell if you haven't already. And yeah, this is, follow Aaron on Instagram if you want to see what his future plans are and what he's gonna do with his Eclipse GSX, okay? We'll see you next time. Shit is fake stuff, only need it from you. Yeah. Crash land in the palm of my hand. Bad little flex, wanna play by the coast. Carry the torch, I'm way up a slitty wherever we float.